Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm just going to check to make sure I'm live. Okay. Hello, everyone. All right. I'm live. I am live. All right. Tony D is live. And I can see your comments. So if anyone's here, I don't know if anyone's here yet. Last time I finally got back on StreamYard. Right, Joan? Right, little Joan? And of course, no one came into the live feed and waited to watch it later. And I had 0 comments. So hoping to get some comments today. Today we're doing the Hollywoke Hot Take Live. So we've got some whatchamacallits. Oh, articles. If I can see if I can change this layout. Now, I still don't know how to change the layout of this thing or share the picture. I think I have to upgrade the StreamYard account, which I may do. But so whenever anybody gets in here, just pop in. So first, let's take care of some business. It's 2:00. Okay. So business-wise, I got to talk to you about Elvis, the movie, and my latest pushback. Now, I get pushback once in a while for talking about a movie. So I talked about, oh God, I forget what movie I got big pushback on. But then Vox Machina I got pushback on. And it's funny to watch people in various fandoms push back if you even criticize. Now, I talked about this movie, Elvis. I analyzed the trailer. And look, it doesn't look like an awful movie, but it doesn't look particularly great to me because I've seen a million documentaries on Elvis. I mean, and it's not like I didn't say Elvis was I didn't, I said Elvis was a talented guy in the video. I called him a genius. And yet people still got bent out of shape. And do you know why? Because they don't watch the whole video. The moment you rub people the wrong way, they just got to get on there and start typing, oh, I hate you. It's just unbelievable. So, JEC is in the chat. See, now I can finally do this. Hi, JEC. Thank you for saying something because had no comments last week. I finally got the StreamYard thing going. I just can't do the multiple cameras on this one. So anyhow, so the Elvis fans in my Elvis video were like up in arms because I didn't get all the facts like 100% accurate. In fact, I kept saying that I only know what the mainstream media tells me because, when Elvis died, I was like, I don't know, I think I was 12. And so, and that was a time in which, you watch TV to get your news. It was the only place. JEC says, Baz Luhrmann is terrible. That movie's going to be awful. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be great either. It doesn't appear to be, any great shakes, right? It just appears to be yet another movie about a biopic about Elvis. And it's just going to be overproduced. That's a thing. I think it's a factor now in movies that really no one's talking about, these overproduced monstrosities that, The Many Saints of Newark was a perfect example to me of a movie that didn't need to be that crazy. It just didn't need that insane amount of production to it. It just didn't need it. No one wanted to see that. No one wanted to see the race riots in the 60s in an early Sopranos movie. They wanted to see Tony Soprano as a young man. That was the number one thing. And granted, the movie couldn't focus on that. Gene Gandolfini's son, he's probably only so good of an actor, but they gave him literally nothing to do, in my view. Very little. Plus, he's a kid, so, he kind of could have gotten away with more. Oh, Salty Avatar is here. Salty Avatar Ang. I totally agree. Thank you. Thanks for coming in. Oh man, I'm getting all kinds of comments now. This is awesome. The whole SteamYard thing is finally paying off. So we didn't need to see all this stuff. We didn't need to see actual 1960s police cars restored. It was just too much. I watched it and was disappointed, and my normie wife was mad too. Well, I'm very sorry to hear that your normie wife was also mad. Yeah, it was just like you could have done so much. Like, you know, when he says, "Hey, Carmela," when he refers to Carmela, his girlfriend, and finally, like, Carmela's in the movie, you're like, oh, okay, now we're gonna get to see Carmela as a young woman. But we kind of don't see much of anything other than they get some hot actress to play her, some hot young actress, which, you know, that's kind of funny. But meanwhile, we're focused on all these characters. Like, who cares? Right? I didn't give a crap about Dickie. I really didn't. I know I've gone off on a tangent on the Many Saints of Newark, but I'm still kind of mad about that movie because it was so disappointing. But I see the Elvis movie very similarly. It's this, you know, and then someone in the comment section told me they shot the entire thing in Australia, which is like, okay, so you went all the way to Australia to recreate, I don't know where Elvis grew up, what, Mississippi, somewhere down south. I don't know. Georgia, I don't know. I don't know what state. Okay, I don't know. Does it make a difference for my point? Does it make a difference for my movie point? My movie point is still valid, even though I don't know where Elvis grew up. I don't know, somewhere down south. Anyhow, they go all the way to Australia to build the carnival and everything in America. Okay, I guess it's cheaper and there's more woods there. I also wasn't invested in the plot or the people. They relied too much on the TV series. Yeah. Who the hell remembers anything in the TV series? Anything in the TV series. I don't remember anything in the TV series, really. And I watched it. Most of it. I didn't watch the last half because, you know, it got too self-important. New. I'm not sure what you're referring to new to, Salty. Yeah, I mean, it's like what we wanted to see, I think, in an early Sopranos movie. First, 100% the focus should have been on Tony. 100%. Number one. Should have been all about him in high school, dealing with his various relatives. We want to see his mother, number one. Because understand, that's when the series was great. See, to me, Sopranos was just like Game of Thrones in a certain way. Game of Thrones was great for about 3.5 seasons, and then it just died because they ran out of the books. In the case of The Sopranos, when the mother died, when the actress playing the mother died, basically the show was over. It's a shame, but it's true. Because the mother was such an important character in that show, in the way it was initially rolled out. And without that mother-son dynamic, which was, to me, driving most of the narrative, it was why he was in therapy. It was why he, you know, the implication was if the mother wasn't in the picture or the mother was supportive, Tony probably wouldn't even have been a gangster, but if he was a gangster, he'd be way more successful because he wouldn't have his mother undermining him. And that was the challenge. He had this mother who was undermining him at every turn because she was so selfish and insecure and bitter and evil. And that was a great thing for the show. So the chance to put that dynamic back together, to me, was this huge opportunity. And so they recast the mother, they recast Tony because they have to, because they're both dead. And we see some of that, but not enough, not nearly enough. And not as evil as I wanted to see it. Like, I wanted to see the mother character completely undermine Tony, like just try to destroy him at every turn. So we see, you know, and we want to see Tony in the early days kind of trust his mother. And sure, you could have put Dickie in the movie, fine. He was mentioned, fine. Put him in there, but my God, the whole movie was around him, and no one really cares. And that bizarro voiceover in the beginning with Chris, oh, I'm dead and Tony killed me. And like, who the hell? What? that is something we definitely did not need. If anything, what we could have done with the movie is maybe do, I don't know, a scene with Chris before the flashback, you know, if you're just dying to get him in there, or have him narrate the whole damn movie, have him voice over the whole damn movie if you really want him in there. But this bizarre scene in the opening with the cemetery and all the dead people speaking was just weird and creepy and unnecessary and nothing to do. Like, this was an opportunity to start clean, to start an early Sopranos that was clean. And you're going to you also bring in the race riots, which, like, look, I've read a lot about the mafia guys, and I can tell you this, they don't give a crap. Okay? They don't give a crap about anybody but themselves, their business, and their families. That's who they are concerned about. You know, are they all monsters? No, but you know, they're not woke. There's no such thing as the woke mafia. So that whole thing, like, oh, the city's burning and they all look out, like, they would have been like, F, what's going on? Oh, okay, let's go protect our interest. Like, they would have been kind of heartless. That to me would have been real mobsters. They're kind of heartless when you get right down to it. But and also too, how does this impact Tony? That's what we wanted to see. I'm sorry, I'm ranting about the many saints of Newark. I didn't think we would even get on that topic. Let's get into some headlines. We're doing Hollywoke hot take. I can't put up the headlines yet. I haven't figured out how to do it on this thing, so I'll just read the first one. NFL hires former Attorney General Loretta Lynch in racism lawsuit. So this is Obama's AG, I believe she was, and so they're suing the NFL for racist hiring practices. Yeah, I don't give a crap, but you know, the NFL opened the door. Right? They opened the door with all this kneeling and Black Lives Matter stuff. They should have done what they usually do and just go, no politics. It's sports. You know, Salty says, I think they did it to excuse the 2020 riots. See riots happen all the time. I guess you're talking about Canadian riots. Yeah, I mean, it's like the whole thing shouldn't have been connected to, the NFL shouldn't have gotten involved. You know, it's just like all these other corporations. You reap what you sow. Okay, you're gonna get political NBA. You're gonna get political NFL. How's that doing for you? You've lost how many millions of dollars? Because I know sports fans, they loved past tense sports, and they refused to watch the NFL, the NBA, a lot of different sports because they got involved. They got involved. I'm getting comments at the wazoo. This is awesome. Funny fact, he got hired by the Steelers. Who did? Who got hired by the Steelers? Ergo Cinema. Hello, Ergo Cinema. Politics always destroys the movies. That is true. Or the culture on a whole. Well, you know, it's like the old saying. You shouldn't talk, in polite company, you shouldn't talk politics or religion. And that should hold true with major corporations, sports teams, movies, you know, unless it's a political movie, in which case you need to do your research and you have to take a stance that makes sense to the audience. Unfortunately, Hollywood just doesn't know where the pulse is anymore. LA thinks they can go on Twitter. So many people are normies too. They don't want politics in their sports. Absolutely. Or media. Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when it's escapism. It's like diversity as an idea. There are two versions of it, the political idea and the artistic idea. Very different concepts. I think I know what you're saying. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I think what, you know, if you have a political movie, you know, something like, what was that Kevin Costner movie? No Place to Run, or I forget. The real good one. NFL person suing the NFL got hired with the Steelers. Oh, okay. Yeah, he's back in. What is he suing over? Yeah, so that movie with Kevin Costner, it's like a whole thriller, and Gene Hackman's in it. No Way Out. That was it. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, it's political, but it doesn't take a political stand. It's not like saying, oh, and then, of course, there's JFK. Very controversial because it's all about the murder. But like even JFK, it's not like you watch JFK and like, oh, I hate Republicans or, oh, I hate Democrats or whatever. It's just a damn movie. Just a damn movie. People just put way too much politics in everything now. It's ridiculous. All right. What was the next headline? Fox News contributor admits to creating fake story about Canadian woman being trampled to death. Yeah, I looked a little bit into this. It doesn't seem to be as bad. It's Yahoo News, so they're always too hyperbolic. They're always looking to take down Fox. Kind of, I think they made a mistake. There was a woman trampled in the trucker protest in Canada, in Ottawa. She wasn't killed, though. She did go to the hospital. So I think initially when the report came out, some people said she had died, but she hadn't. She was disabled, though. She was in a mobility scooter of some sort, and the horses trampled her. So she's banged up pretty good, but she is not dead. But still, it's bad. It is bad. Bill Maher calls out U.S.-born Olympic genocide Barbie. This is Breitbart. Eileen Gu for competing with China. Ooh, I don't like this woman competing for China. JEC. There's videos of them trampling her. Absolutely. That's the point, though, JEC. They're manipulating the people with propagandizing them. The political movies are too obvious. Sometimes, yeah. The theme of a movie should grow organically out of the plot. Absolutely, ergo. The activist political stance is imposed upon a story. Yeah, and these people want to substitute activism for a plot. That's part of it. She had a walker. Yeah, I think she had a mobility scooter, they were saying. But yeah, I mean, either way, she's disabled. Exactly, ergo cinema. We're all in agreement here. Yeah, I've done political stuff, but there's a way to do it to make it palatable to people. I think it's, and it's good to criticize your own side, whatever that is. But the left certainly aren't doing that. Let's segue into a movie I like to rant about. Don't Look Up. I don't know if you guys saw that movie. Don't see it. Adam McKay, who's very talented. Don't get me wrong. He's very talented, but man, did he drop the ball on that movie, in my view. So Don't Look Up, for those of you who don't know. Oh, we got a question. Hold up. Off-topic question. Do you watch Timcast IRL? Last guest he had on was the person working with the Daily Wire that is producing movies. Oh, no, I'll have to catch that. I do watch Tim. I don't watch IRL too much because it's kind of long. I can only watch so many podcasts a day. I of course, watch the Lotus Eaters because I'm usually on it for a video question. But so I watch that one. And I tend to watch Crowder on the weekdays. So I'm like out of time. I do like Tim, though. I'll watch his shorter, newsy things if it's a topic I want. I got to be more selective. I watch way too many YouTube videos. But yeah, that does sound good. Yeah, I think I will like it. But getting back to Don't Look Up. So Don't Look Up was a climate change movie, essentially. But the premise is a meteor's coming to Earth to kill everybody. Oh, we got somebody else. Hollywood Ate My Baby. Ooh, I'll have to check that out. Welcome, Hollywood. So the meteor's coming, and Jennifer Lawrence and Leonardo DiCaprio are two nerdy scientists who find that out. And they go to Washington to tell the president that the Earth is going to be hit by this massive meteor that could wipe out all life on Earth. It's an extinction event. And then the premise of the movie is that it's a satire how the governments of the Earth can't get it together to destroy the asteroid. And so in the course of the movie, in the first two acts, it builds up to Ron Perlman as the astronaut going to the asteroid to plant explosives, and at the last second it's aborted because some millionaire social media guy figures out there's trillions of dollars worth of minerals on the asteroid. So he wants to surgically cut the meteor up into pieces so he can make the money. And so they risk all life on Earth in order to cut. Now, I'm going through spoilers, so be advised. But I'm saving you. I'm saving you 90 minutes of your life. So the plot of the movie really is this satire about how Leonardo, who's trying to tell everybody we have to destroy this meteor, becomes caught up in the media hype. He cheats on his wife, and he becomes like a TV celebrity. And then meanwhile, like this plan to cut up the meteor goes haywire, and it literally wipes out all life on Earth. So, which would be a fine ending. But the third act, you have the president, who's played by Meryl Streep. No, here's the worst part. Here's the worst part, Hollywood. The president, played by Meryl Streep, is supposed to be like a female Donald Trump. And it's the MAGA hat wearers who suddenly decide they don't accept the science of the meteor coming. I get it. 2-hour podcasts are hard to watch. Only so many hours in a day. There are clips from podcasts. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that one out, though, because it's a topic I'm totally into. So anyhow, long story longer. The last third of the movie turns into a screed against the MAGA hat wearers for no reason at all. And in fact, throughout the movie, the movie's portrayed as well-meaning Democrats trying to get it together, but really it's revealed that at the end it's this Republican president that blocks everything because they're greedy, and that's what kills all life on Earth. It's not openly stated. He's a little more subtle about it than most people, but that's basically the message. To which I say, that just wouldn't happen. I mean, you're really going to risk all life being wiped out on Earth to make money? No. Yeah, of course. No, you're not going to risk that. So, but this is a movie that could have been done if you had bothered to parody both the left and right? You could have had a movie in which, all life on Earth gets wiped out because both sides, the Democrats and the Republicans, can't get it together. It could have been balanced. It still, in my view, would probably be the Democrats right now in this era. In the Bush era, it would have been the Republicans more at fault. But in this era, it's the Democrats. So the zeitgeist would be, these guys are too politically correct. They keep hiring all these diversity hires who are incompetent. I mean, have you seen the guy? I don't even know what to call him, that Biden just hired for his, I don't know, what was that? Some kind of energy thing that's in the White House and our government. The guy is a bald, one newspaper called him a drag queen, but he's like bald and he has a mustache, but he dresses in half women's clothing, and then he's a advocate for kink, and he's into puppy play. I mean, this is all like public knowledge. And the reason I mention it, yes, a bit of a dog boy, I guess you would say. The reason I mention it is because that story is being touted here as, oh, aren't we wonderful and progressive? Because we're so progressive, we hire this insane weirdo who goes public with all his sexual predilections. And now, meanwhile, like the Russians are touting it as a thing to embarrass us. I just imposed my politics on it and saw the administration as lefties. Really? See, I saw them as, I think that was the initial thing I did too, at least in the beginning of the movie, except that only because Meryl Streep was a woman, and I thought, oh, this is like if Hillary Clinton had been elected. But then at the end of the movie, when they had the hats, I was like, oh no, these guys are MAGA. As a metaphor, it fits better if they were satirizing certain medical procedures they're trying to force on everyone and certain people are trying to warn about. Yeah, I wish I could talk about that on a live stream, JEC, because I have all sorts of strong opinions on it. And I think it kind of maybe hinted in that direction, but yeah, it would have been great. But it didn't work. The story metaphor of looking up versus down instead of left and right was brilliant, though. In the scene with Chris Evans, where he wears a button with both up and down on it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think it was brilliant. I think it was ham-fisted, especially the MAGA hats, because first off, if it had been tied into that medical procedure, as JEC said, then it could have been great. But you would have had to have blasted the Democrats. You had to blast the Democrats because they're in charge. They're the establishment now. 20 years ago, it was the Bushies. Now it's not them. Yeah, talking about the dog boy. He's in charge of nuclear waste. I agree. They were trying to project them as conservatives are Republicans. Yeah, that's what I thought. But anyhow, the reason I mentioned dog boy is because the Russians are now using that as a propaganda piece to embarrass us. This is what the West is turning into. And I don't use this term lightly, but it makes him look like a degenerate when he talks about his own sexual kinks. I don't care. Look, I don't care if the guy wants to be a drag queen. I really don't. But when he's at work, I don't want him dressed in high heels because he looks like an idiot. He looks like an idiot. Okay? It's not that he doesn't have the right to wear that, but he looks stupid. He doesn't even look professional. He's wearing a mustache, and he's got a mustache, and he's got women's clothing on. If he wants to be trans, he wants to present female, okay. He wants to wear a mustache and wear a dress? What? You're just to me, it's just narcissism. He's just drawing attention to himself. He doesn't want to be a woman. He wants to be the center of attention. And then on top of the fact that his crazy kinks are out in the public and he's bragging about them, no, too much. Too much. It's just too much. He should be in a professional suit and then do his job. And then when he's outside of his job, do whatever the hell you want. I don't care. Although if you're in the government, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a politician, whether you're a cop, you should have a higher bar. You're in the public sphere. You work for the public. There's a certain presentation you have to maintain. If you're in your private life, like I know teachers, they're on dating sites, let's say, and they're very quiet about them, very quiet, and they don't make it public that they're dating. They don't show all these pictures around. Salty says, I don't care what people F. I don't want activists in charge. I don't want activists only in charge of my nuclear waste. Yeah, I mean, what does his activism have to do with that? I remember a time when you couldn't even show tattoos at work. Yeah. Yeah. What did you generally think about the movie becoming more and more absurd as it went along? Well, that's a satire for Don't Look Up, right? That's exactly what a satire should be. It should get more and more absurd, but it didn't go far enough. It did not go far enough. The problem with it, I think it spent way too much time on Leonardo DiCaprio's relationship with his wife, which was almost irrelevant. If you had done a real satire, Leonardo DiCaprio's character wouldn't have been in a movie after the first act. He would be superfluous. He would go to the White House. He would try to present it. They would all get caught up, and then it would all be about the various people in the White House screwing it all up. It would completely ignore Leo, because satires are about the things you are satirizing, not about people. That's like the kind of one exception to the rule in screenplays. I mean, I did it in Wokistan and Novel, although we had a character, Dr. Mandel, Dr. Lawrence Mandel, who is throughout the entire thing. Like, we hang the satire on him, and you can do that. But in the end, like, awful things have to happen, and awful things happen to Lawrence in Wokistan and Novel. And, and you satirize in Lawrence. What you get is a guy, you're seeing all the horror through him. And that's what Leo should have been. And he wasn't, if you were going to keep him throughout the movie. But I think in a movie like that, the issues were so large. I mean, you're talking gigantic issues, the biggest issues you could possibly think of. Just like in Dr. Strangelove. You didn't need to see him that much. He should have faded out. At least he's open about it and isn't a blackmail threat. I guess. I guess. I mean, that is one advantage of Dog Boy being in charge of the nuclear waste. But, he doesn't have to be embarrassed about it. I just don't care. I just don't want it pushed in my face. I thought they went soft on the absurd mess. You could get into it. By the time it was done, it was just over its antics. Yeah. If you're talking about Don't Look Up. Sorry. I'm the comments. The comments are slightly delayed, so I'm moving on too quickly. I'll try to slow down a little bit. I'm all jazzed up. But yeah, I mean, like Dog Boy would have been a perfect thing to put in Don't Look Up, right? That was something I did in Hollywoke, another novel. That was one of the running gags. So in Hollywoke, the diversity and inclusion stuff is all over the studio. And whenever the main character, Roger, comes into the office, there's a different secretary, and they're more and more diverse. So like I forget, the first one is just some girl of color who's like a little overly sensitive. Then there's disabled person. Then by the end of it, like it's just insane. You don't know if he's a blackmail threat. Who knows how old his puppies are? Yeah. And some of these guys, I mean, look, again, it's just unprofessional. Like, I feel like I've got very vanilla taste in that area, but I don't come into my workplace and say, I'm a real advocate for having blondes with huge knockers wearing cheerleader outfits. Like, I don't brag about that. I don't need to go into my workplace and say, hey, everybody, I'm totally straight. I really like strippers. Like, that's, I don't need to advocate for that. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like weird. I'm hoping he is not, but good point, JEC. Maybe China is licking their chops. They certainly are. Make no mistake. I contend that China is in the background of all this, pushing and pushing and pushing it. Oh yeah, let's this will embarrass them, or this will screw things up, or this will annoy the F out of people. I think China's way behind this. Now, they're smart. They're not going to be like, they don't have a trail, but it's easy. It's easy to go in the United States and spy on it and screw things up. But I think what the Chinese have underestimated is much like Trump, a lot of people in the United States are pretty shameless. And they just don't care. They just don't care. You don't brag about it because it's assumed you're into blonde cheerleaders. LOL. Yeah. I mean, And it's like, even if I did, like, people would just look at me like, who cares what you're into? But because this guy, he's into weird stuff, like we're supposed to, like, there's this line between fetish and sexuality that has just been erased, right? So, like, no one cared that they're going to have a gay pride parade. No one cared. Like, okay, a few people did in the early days, but not anymore. So, like, go ahead, have your gay pride, whatever. But then these guys show up in fetish outfits. It's like, is a fetish sexuality? Is that supposed to be something to celebrate your fetish? I mean, are guys that are in the feet supposed to get their own float in this thing? No. Just look, you can marry, you can get equal rights. Just stop. Consolidate your gains. Have a little dignity, I say. I talked about this. They have the gay pride parades in Europe, and they're family events. They don't have people dressed in leather chaps, assless chaps running around. They just have normal gay people saying, "Oh, we've got our rights now, hooray!" And it's a nice day out, and the kids can go, and you don't feel like you're bringing them to some sort of sexual deviancy parade. And it's weird for me even to say that. Like, that's not a term I throw around. I'm not some Republican who calls everybody a sexual deviant who isn't into blonde cheerleaders. It's just bizarre. These people keep pushing and pushing and pushing. That's why I don't care about LGBTQ, because it's not about equality. They will never stop. Well, it certainly seems that way. But as I keep saying, daddy's coming home to roost in 2023 when the Republicans get back in, and they're just going to put a stop to it. The LGBT community had this great opportunity. They could have spoken out why they had the power. They could set the limits. They could say, okay, all right, we got what we needed. This is X, Y, and Z. Here's what trans people are. Here's what we'll do about women's sports and trans people in them or whatever. And it's like, You're not doing that. No, we're going to keep pushing and pushing until people push back. And the pushback's going to be bad. This is certainly subversion tactics. This is what is going on today. If you watch Yuri Bezmenov, of course, lecture video from 1988, which is on YouTube, you will find that it's all relevant in our society. Yes. I saw it. Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad, talks about this all the time. And his videos were very prescient. He understood what the Soviets were doing because he was a Soviet and he was doing it. And now the Chinese have picked up the baton and they're doing the same damn thing. But I think there's an important distinction that the Soviets and the Chinese communists don't understand. At some point, number one, we have a different society. It's flexible, right? It's flexible. Things snap back. The Chinese communists just banned feminism and what they called sissy boys and a few other things from their society. We don't ban that kind of stuff. And yes, things are completely out of control right now. But at some level, most people still don't care. It's mostly still not affecting people. And even the people who are into it, 99% of them in the LGBT community, and some of them I know, they know it's too much. They pull back. And so it's not as subversive as you think. It's just a handful of weirdos who get out of control, I think. And it's the people who are in positions of power who could put a stop to this stuff immediately. The NFL could have put a stop to Black Lives Matter just by saying no and ignoring these morons on Twitter, and it would have all been good. A few weeks would have been of hell, but then after that, they would have been fine. Same thing with all these celebrities who refuse to get canceled. They just come through the fire. So, this school board in Loudoun County who has all these problems, and they're all going to be investigated for doing all sorts of insane things. They could have stopped it. They could have nipped it in the bud in the beginning, but because they're weak, because they're so afraid of being called transphobic or whatever, they wouldn't bother to set the limit right there. You set the limit in the beginning, and then everything's good. What's another topic I had here? This was a big story this week. Washington Post writer actually declares individual freedom a key component in white supremacy. But, and it's so bizarre to me that Jeff Bezos bought the Washington Post, or Amazon did, or whatever major corporation owns it. And then it just went full bore woke, right? And now they're saying these strange things. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you hear coming out of the New York Times. Freedom is white supremacy. I mean, who believes this stuff? Just a handful of comics, and really just a handful. It's insane. And they keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And every time they push, they lose people. They lose a few people who are on their side, who are just clinging on. Okay, yeah, there's been a lot of weird stuff, but I'm just going to hang on. Wait a minute, freedom's white supremacy? Screw it, I'm done. They get white pilled. I mean, Barry Weiss, I don't know if you know who she is. She worked at the New York Times, and she left. She left because she said, I can't take it anymore. I can't take being in this ideological bubble you people have created. You're communist idiots, and you're destroying the country. And she finally left, and good on her, because now she's at least sane. And another headline, this is from Bill Maher, my old boss. Companies and celebrities decided to be a little evil on China and became their bee. Yeah, they're totally, NBC. How are you going to cover the Olympics in China, in Beijing, and not be beholden to the Chinese? Because they got you over a barrel. They know you got millions of dollars invested in this. They can pull the plug at any time. They're communists. They don't care. They don't care if NBC loses millions of dollars. Did they care when Disney lost millions of dollars on the Eternals? They didn't care. They're communists. I know Barry Weiss, she's doing okay things since leaving. Yeah, she seems reasonable. She seems like a normal liberal, a normal Democrat, like somebody back from the 80s who you could have sparred with and had an honest discussion. They're very few and far between. Most of the people on the left now are leftist. They're maniacs. They've been radicalized beyond belief, or they're people just deeply ignorant of what's going on. I know a few people like that too. They're Democrats. They don't believe it. You know, I tell them about critical race theory and all the crazy things that are going on in the schools. They're like, you're exaggerating. You're crazy. Olympics was a disaster and no one even cared. Yeah, who cares? I barely cared about the Olympics when it was popular. It's a shame. I mean, look, I appreciate the Olympics, but I don't really care. Evan Monster, that's one thing that pisses me off. I think he means we were warned and it still happened. Oh, Evan Monster, I didn't even see your name. I thought you were the other guy. Yeah. I mean, there was that article that said there's 1.2 million Chinese spies in the West, which makes 100% sense, because if the one thing that the Chinese have in spades is people, they just have so many people. So it makes total sense. They could send 1 million people out. Wouldn't even miss them. If anything, it's helping them. There's less people in their crowded country. And really, any Chinese national, if you're a still citizen of China, you can be recruited like that. Because again, it's the communists. They make the rules. They can do whatever they want. They could just call you up and say, hey, do X, Y, and Z, spy on your good friends in America, or else, you know, your family gets the gulag, or you get the gulag. And when you come back, if you're stupid enough to go back. So, you know, Jackie Chan, I mean, he's a perfect example. You know, his son apparently got into some trouble, and his son lives in China or Hong Kong, I assume. And now he's got a lot of money and everything, but he got in some trouble, and suddenly Jackie is, you know, he's always sort of been the ambassador for China, but back when it was like Hong Kong, China. And, but, you know, he's not going to defect. You know, how are you going to defect? How are you going to leave if you got a large extended family in China? You know what the Chinese will do to them. They'll all go into the gulag. Exactly. I thought the Olympics was every 4 years. LOL. Shaun White is how I heard about the Winter Olympics. Yeah, it's his last Olympics, by the way. I think he's done after this. Does the rise of black conservatives signal a Trump turning point for the GOP? Says Red State. Yes. Yes, it does. Oh, Evan Monster. Oh, wait. First, I missed one. God, you guys, you're coming fast with these. JEC, I'm disappointed there weren't any athletes getting heart attacks on camera during the Olympics. That's all I wanted to see. Maybe it aired on a delay. I don't know. Those guys are so healthy. Maybe even the jab couldn't knock them down. I heard Jackie Chan has a huge problem in China. Yeah, I hear it's his son. His son got into some problems. Here in Wisconsin, we have a Chinese Light Festival around Christmas time, and mysteriously enough, many of those Chinese workers don't make it on the plane to go home. I wonder why. Well, yeah, there's no wondering. It's like you don't want to go back once you get out of a Chinese gulag country. But yeah, the black conservatives is definitely something to watch, because and I've been saying this for at least a couple of years now. The black community, the Latino community, they're more conservative socially, I think, in a lot of ways. We're up to like 2 to 4 soccer players dropping from heart attacks a week during the game at this point. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that it only happens to soccer players. Maybe we just didn't hear about it because the Chinese wanted to keep that quiet. Maybe. Joan, what's wrong? You're making noise. You want a pat on the head? There you go. Oh, you're a good dog. Yeah, maybe they were hiding it. I hear it's backing the leader before Z. I think his name is Han. I hear it's backing the leader before Z. I think his name is Han. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But I think the Latino and black communities socially are a little more conservative. They're more religious. And the anti-religiousness of the left, the hard left, is now influencing the Democrats, and I think that's why the optics of it are terrible for them. And you've got a lot of people who are religious just saying, no, the Communist Party is one party, but it has factions in it. It's true. But right now, Z's once you're in control, it depends on how ruthless you want to be. You kill all your opponents and you're good. That's what Stalin did. The only question is, will Z do the same thing, or will he get ousted before, he gets... I mean, like, you look at Stalin, he killed everybody. I mean, he just kept purging and purging and purging people. And that's, at some level, the only way to stay in power. NBA China critic, speaking of China, Enes Kanter Freedom nominated for Nobel Peace Prize. This is from Breitbart. I'm totally down with that. He's the only guy at the NBA calling out China, which is weird that he would even still play for the NBA because they make so much money in China, but good on him. But man, what a bunch of wussies on the NBA who wouldn't call out China. Those guys, especially LeBron. I love all the memes with LeBron James as like Mao, dressed as Mao. Always cracks me up. Let's see what else we got. Failing Faster. This is from Bleeding Fool. Amazon's new Lord of the Rings show. Yeah, this is something we talked about this week a lot. I did a video on it and I got a lot of hits. Our fans are racist marketing strategy. That I'm sure you guys have things to say about Lord of the Rings. Oh, JEC. Z gained power because of the 2008 Olympics was such a success. Be ironic if 2022 Olympics is the beginning of his downfall because it was such an embarrassment. I don't know if it's such an embarrassment for him because he did have that skier defect from the United States, essentially, to play for China. That's a huge win for him. Even if nobody here watches it, for him, he'll say it's a win. It certainly looks like a win, even with just that. And I think there was other athletes who played for China too. That's awesome. They Kaepernicked him. He's no longer playing at the moment. Ennis isn't? Oh yeah. I didn't know that. I thought he was still playing. But getting on to Lord of the Rings, which is a huge topic, or was this week. Just the whole wokeness of it, the black dwarves and the black elves and the female dwarves without beards, and so for those of you who don't know, they're doing this Lord of the Rings of Power show. Amazon only has the rights to the Lord of the Rings. They don't have the rights to Silmarillion or the other unfinished works of Tolkien. So the Rings of Power is based on the indexes in the Lord of the Rings. So if you've ever read Lord of the Rings, there'll be like Tolkien has these indexes because it's like history, right? It's like you're reading about history. So when they talk about Galadriel, the blonde elf queen, whatever she is, she's thousands of years old. So like Tolkien will refer back to the first age, the second age, the third age, when Galadriel was alive and young, and what she did back then, and how she got this particular magic item, or this monster was alive, or whatever. And so they took those indexes and they built a show around it. And that was like an interesting choice in that they didn't need much info and they can kind of do what they want because it's so far in the past. It's almost like a separate movie. If you're going to do a prequel, that's the way I would do it. I hate prequels, but if you're going to do one, that would be a way to do it. But the problem is, I hope it is. I think he will just lie and say it was a great success. Yeah, I think that's what Z will do with the Olympics. Absolutely. But the problem with the Lord of the Rings is they made it so woke, and they're touting that wokeness to a huge degree online. I mean, they put out this trailer, and it couldn't be more woke. And the female black dwarven princess, here was an opportunity for these woke morons to put a beard on a woman and then tie it all into trans, right? You could totally see that happening. Like, oh, here's the dwarf princess, and she has a beard, and if you don't like it, you're transphobic. And then Tolkien fans would have been, but we do like it. That's what we wanted. Female dwarves have beards. We're okay with that. We're okay with female dwarves presenting as men because that was in the book. That was in the Lord of the Rings. The dwarves would have their women present as men because it was less likely they would be attacked or kidnapped or whatever. And the orcs and the other various races that would try to kill them would count the women as men and go, oh, they got way too many men, so we won't attack them. And they could have woven that in and still made it woke, but help the fans. But they're insistent upon this weird strategy of let's call everybody a racist, and then somehow they'll turn around and watch the show anyway. No, they will not. When you do that to people, you get Batwoman, right? The Batwoman TV show. That it couldn't be the wokest show on TV. And no one watches that show, from what I understand. Like the ratings, like something like 300,000 people watch that show, an episode, which is, it's like $1 a fan. That's what they're spending. That's way too much. Way too much. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan gets 11 million people listening to his podcast. So the Lord of the Rings is just, and then it was the one time I did a video and I criticized something and everybody agreed with me. Well, about half the fans agreed with me. I got half down votes and half up votes, but that was still pretty good. Meanwhile, I'm getting my head kicked in for Elvis, but for Lord of the Rings, people are agreeing because they can see it. They can see the disaster that's coming. When I did that for Wheel of Time, I got blasted at first. And then the show came out, and then everybody came back and said, it looks like you were kind of right. This is looking pretty well. I don't know if you got any Wheel of Time fans out there. It continues to kind of be a semi-disappointment, apparently. Wokeness fails because they can't create anything. We're not mad because it's woke. We're mad because it's bastardized, and they blame the fans for not being accepted enough. Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of mad it's woke. It doesn't need to be woke. It takes place in the Middle Ages. Middle Ages is an incredibly sexist, misogynist time. That's what we want to see. We want to see. This whole thing about being woke, it only happened in the last 5 or 10 years, and it sucks. And no one wants it, and we're going back. We are going back. Now, we may not go back as far, but we're going back. You think the 80s was based? It's nothing comparing to what's coming. Oh, what's coming? It's going to be so based. It's going to be a little too based. And then it'll roll back the other way. But that's the way the pendulum swings. I'm looking forward to being openly based again. I'm looking forward to being the most progressive guy in the room again, because that was the norm for me for so many decades, For so many decades, and back in the 80s, I was the most progressive guy in the room. Everybody around me would be, going on and on about, I won't say, but, they would say things that were a little too based, a little too crazy. And I would be like, oh, come on, man, don't be that way, man. I'm a hippie. I wasn't a hippie, but I was kind of like a pseudo hippie. Yeah, we're now it's the opposite, of course. What a time to be alive. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Yeah, I never thought I'd live to see this. It just, if you had asked me if you told me back in the 80s what was going to happen, I'd have been like, you're out of your mind. Donald Trump's not going to be president. I'm certainly not going to support him. And he's certainly not going to be a Republican. He's a Democrat. Donald Trump is a Democrat at heart, by the way. He's just an 80s Democrat. He's kind of become a Republican, like an actual Republican, like a populist Republican. He's kind of been pulled that way. If you had told me Donald Trump would be on the front of a newspaper holding a Bible, protecting a church in Washington, D.C., I'd have been like, he's not religious. He didn't go to church. And now, that's what Trump did while he was president. He's coming back, by the way. Is that who's psyched for Truth Social, by the way? Oh, I'm so psyched for Truth Social. I can't wait. I cannot wait for Truth Social to go live so I can start promoting to the Trump fans, promoting this, promoting everything. Oh, I am so stoked for Truth Social. I know they're going to hack it right away, and it's probably going to go down a bunch of times. It's going to be a nightmare, but fingers crossed this thing launches big and stays big. I think it will. You know, it'll take a few months probably, which is why it's good they're launching it now. Give it a couple of months to get the bugs out of it. Eventually things will calm down a little bit. But man, it's going to be monster. I think Truth Social will be monster. I wish I could get a hold of some of the stock. Oh my God. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial analyst. Believe me when I say do not take financial advice from me. Never take financial. I'm like the poorest person you'll ever meet. So do not take financial advice. But if I could, I would buy an S ton of stock in whatever that company is. I forget what it is, but they're running the whole Truth Social thing. So it's going to be big. Hollywood celebrities are supported Louisville BLM fund that bailed out Quintez Brown, getting heroes out of jail, quote unquote. This is the guy who shot the mayoral candidate in Louisville, who was also Jewish. And it was weird the way the first headline was Jewish mayoral candidate shot. I don't think it may have had something to do with his wacky reasons for shooting him, but it just seemed weird that they immediately reported that the guy was Jewish. The initial headline should have been mayoral candidate shot. You know, attempted assassination, really. When it's a political figure, it's an attempted assassination. But yes, a lot of these celebrities support these bail fund things. And the deal is it's a bail fund. They don't believe in bail. They think bail is evil. They think it's racist because poor people can't afford it. And they assume all black people are poor, which is not true, which is a racist thought in and of itself. But they want to do away with the bail system. No, that's not the problem. The problem is they will hold you without bail. They will hold you without bail. And the other problem is when somebody else pays your bail, that defeats the purpose of bail. The point of bail is you put up some of your own money to get out of prison, until your trial, and then you get it back when you show up to the trial. So the incentive is there. Well, I don't want to lose my $100,000. So they put up $100,000 for this guy. He has no incentive to show up. It's not his money. And I think he's guilty. So why not just attempt to escape to Mexico? What does he care? So once again, celebrities, go F yourself. But that's the state of celebrities in Hollywood these days. Over at Deadline, Atlanta creator Donald Glover and co-writers experienced racial harassment shooting season 3 in London. I find this a weird headline because London is incredibly woke these days. The UK is incredibly woke. So if you're telling me you've been harassed on the street racially, I find that difficult to believe unless it was a group of maybe immigrants doing it, because there are so many immigrants in London and they tend to be a little more rough around the edges, let's say, than most Londoners. So I don't know how true that is, but I guess it's possible. From Breitbart, Elliot Page Boy memoir deal reportedly worth $3 million. So Elliot Page, I guess, is doing a memoir called Page Boy, because I guess she looks like a page boy. I don't know. Elliot Page annoys the F out of me now. And now, like, her career is kind of slowly going away. And I think you're going to see her just keep showing up, getting more and more desperate for attention. You know, if she truly has trans issues and she wants to live as a man, I don't care. I don't care. That's her deal. And if she's happy, fine. But like her rants, her cringy rants on late night television, when does she come back and apologize for them? That were incredibly, incredibly wrong. Yeah. Sam Waterson is back for Law and Order, saying he will contribute to the conversation again. We're all mad as hell. I don't know why. What are you mad about? The Democrats are in power. Shouldn't you be celebrating on the show? JEC, oh, I get it. Their name is Paige and they're a boy now. Oh yeah. I didn't get that. Thank you for Page boy. Now I get it. I thought she looked like a page boy. I think that's like a thing, right? She looks utterly miserable. Well, in the pictures Breitbart showed, she was smiling. But I just think it's weird. Look, if she wants to be gay, if she wants to be trans, I don't care. But, the people like touting her as the next James Bond, you're out of your mind. Okay? You're out of your mind. If Elliot wants to bulk up and get some role, if somebody wants to cast her, she made a great Shadowcat. She looked like Shadowcat. Shadowcat was a petite young girl. And, she was good for that role. She was sexy in other roles. And now she's a guy. It's like, okay, whatever. Maybe she will go the Demi Moore route and get into an Aliens and S. I don't know. Is Demi the Demi route? Oh, like demisexual? I thought you meant Demi War. I hate that they never apologize. Screw these celebrities and people. I want to punch them easy in the face. Yeah, well, look, I know you don't mean that, but you got to be careful on the internet when you say stuff like that because people take it out of context, right? But I know what you're saying. Like, you're just frustrated with them. The response is don't patronize them because that's the worst thing you could do to a celebrity. The worst thing you could do to a celebrity is to stop paying attention to them. The moment you stop paying attention to them, never feed the trolls. And essentially that's what they're doing. They're just trolling in a different way. Demi Lovato. Okay, I was thinking Demi Moore for some reason. Yeah. What has happened to Demi Lovato? She's lost her damn mind. She's singing a ghost. She cut her hair. She is off her nut, I think. Bill Maher again. School mask rules creating a generation of kids, of germ paranoid kids. We can't talk totally open about it, but yeah, I'm against the mask. My tyrant governor, Phil Murphy, is lifting the mask mandate as of March 7th because, he talked to the virus directly and they negotiated that, on March 7th, it would all go away. So that's what I heard. YouTube. There was a great video online of Evangeline Lilly, the Wasp. She did a whole thing. She's Canadian. And, another comment about Elliot. If Elliot thought being an attractive, wealthy woman sucked, wait till she gets a load of being a 35-year-old, 5'1" dude with zero muscle tone and no D with an ex-wife. Yeah. It's not fun. It's not fun. Not fun being divorced. Not fun being the dude. And if I had one thing to say to Elliot, I'd say, suck it up, Elliot. You're a dude now. You're a dude. No one gives an F. Okay? So F you. Because that's the way dudes talk to each other. Elliot. You don't give a fuck. Damn it. I cursed. Sorry, YouTube. A lot of blue states are keeping the mandates in schools. Yeah, I don't know why. They're woke-tarded in the extreme. But New Jersey finally getting rid of them March 7th. A lot of people here are going to be happier. Not happy, but happier. And then the hard work begins of getting rid of more New Jersey state legislatures who are blue for Republicans. I think New Jersey's going to go red. We might take back the state. So there's a good shot at it. A good shot. But Evangeline Lilly, the Wasp, has this great video online promoting the Canadian truckers. And you should definitely check it out. I can't play it for you. A lot of blue states are keeping the mandates. No, that's the wrong one. Teachers unions is wide. Yeah. Ban the teachers unions, I say. So check out Evangeline Lilly's video, especially if you support the truckers. And there's also the truckers had a video too. It's on Rumble, saying if you want to support them and support the movement, they're asking all the truckers in the United States to stop delivering to Canada. And by the way, truckers here doing the protest event in Washington, D.C., you might want to take the advice of this farmer who also did a video. It may have been the same guy. I'm not sure. But he basically said, instead of going to Washington, instead of risking everything, just stop trucking. Now, I don't know if that'll work in the United States. I don't know if you'd have enough truckers that could do it. And they use so many foreign drivers now. You know, a lot of those guys won't be on board because they were kind of scabs to begin with. And they're just like working to survive. So they don't have any kind of savings or anything. So I don't know if you could get enough truckers here to do it without getting replaced. But if you could get enough, I would say that's a better strategy too, because then you're not even risking your truck. You're just not working. You just refuse to work. And when things grind to a halt, and what he said in the video, and I don't know if this is true, maybe somebody could tell me if this is true, that most major cities only have 3 days worth of food on hand. If the trucks stop rolling into the cities within 3 days, they're out of food. Is that true? Could that be true? Doesn't seem like it would be true. You would need only a certain percentage of the drivers to stop. Yeah, maybe. Learned yesterday, 60 what? 60 what? JEC, I'm not sure what you meant by that. Learned yesterday, 60% of Canadian truckers are Indian. Oh, okay. Oh, Harry's here. Jordan Peterson said the Canadian Communist Party denounced Justin Trudeau's measures to crack down on the truckers. Well, it's about time. It's about time the communists stood with the workers. Jesus. Those guys, talk about a bunch of idiots. I mean, where's Antifa? Where's Antifa cheering on the truckers? Where are they? Suddenly, you don't hear about Antifa. Suddenly, Antifa's nowhere to be found. Here's a protest. Here's a protest. Oh, you're not burning down enough stuff, Antifa? You don't want to be part of it? You don't want to be part of the great workers' uprising all of a sudden? Yeah, bunch of hypocrites. FX chief promises big surprises, but no Ripley in Aliens TV series. This is from Bleeding Fool. I don't know. An Alien TV series could be good. It could be good. Will it be good? I don't know. They've kind of beaten to death the Aliens franchise. At this point, I kind of don't care anymore, but maybe you could make a decent show about it. You know, you would have thought you could have made a decent movie, you know, that took place on Earth, but they couldn't seem to get it together after the first couple of Alien movies. So I don't know. Justin Trudeau went too far for the Canadian Communist Party. Yeah, he's more communist than them. I mean, what do you expect from the son of Fidel Castro? Antifa is full fascist. They support the anti-trucker protest. They aren't workers united. They're rich, spoiled kids uniting. Yeah, I mean, it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. But because they're so, you know, college students, because their takes are so bad, because they do this, you would have thought at least some of them would get red pilled and you know, join, you know, because they're under the impression, a lot of these communists are under the impression that the workers will rise up, because that's still the old communist meme, right? Oh, the workers they're gonna embrace communism. They're on our side. when they're not. They're totally not. But you would think the opposite could be true, that the communists would at least embrace the workers when they do something. That they would at least say, see, workers are uniting. Communism works. I mean, this is their opportunity to take credit for something they didn't even do, which communists love to do, and they can't. Justin Trudeau refused to apologize in the Canadian Parliament. They should remove him. There's an article, I got to read it. Finally, somebody posted something on how they could remove Justin Trudeau under the Canadian system, and apparently it's very Byzantine, and I knew it was, but they don't have an impeachment system. There's some other kind of system. Sorry, not sorry. I don't want anything to do with someone who wants political progress through violence. Yeah, exactly. Who does? Apparently morons. Yeah, but yeah, the Antifa guys are just terrible. But yeah, there's an article out on Gab Trends I got to read. It's about how they could legally remove Justin Trudeau from office. That they're not doing it. It's insane to me. Every politician, Canada, every politician who didn't immediately want to get rid of Justin Trudeau from this point on should never be voted for again. In fact, most people in power should be voted right out of office next election. Certainly, Justin Trudeau's party should be absolutely gone. Alien TV show would be okay if they lean into horror, not the Chariots of the Gods BS Ridley Scott got caught up in. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they will, quite frankly. Maybe they might lean into it the right way. They get some talented people on it. You can make anything good, but I don't know. The problem with a franchise like that, the problem with all these big franchises is they're just too big. Studios won't like hand you the franchise and say, okay, go to town. We don't care. They kind of did that with the Terminator franchise when they did their TV series, which it was still not great, but they at least had some different ideas in, which was, there were a couple of interesting ideas in it. But you really need, at the end of the day, you always just need talented people and talented writers, especially. Like if you can get good, talented writers, even if the rest of the stuff doesn't come together as great, the writing always saves the day. Good writing always saves the day. But I'm pretty biased in that area. Last story for Hollywoke Hot Take. Justin Bieber tests positive for COVID-19, cancels Las Vegas show. Well, see, the virus isn't all bad. The Canadian Conservative Party is letting Trudeau hang himself. They just kicked out their old leader, still need to appoint a replacement. By then, Trudeau won't be able to be elected dog caterer. Yeah, but how long is this going to take? Meanwhile, what's going to happen? I mean, it's a lot of people going to jail right now, I think they should impeach him now. Do I think Russia will invade the Ukraine? No, there's no reason to. They've already kind of won the PR game. So I think what they're going to do is keep kind of teasing it, keep sort of playing around with the border. LOL. Keep kind of like dancing around the border, because understand, and this is my understanding, and I know a little bit about this, right? So during the Soviet era, when the Soviets controlled the Ukraine, they imported Russians into Eastern Ukraine because they wanted to keep control of the Crimea, and they wanted to essentially displace the Ukrainians or force them to become Russians, right? So in Soviet society, if you spoke Ukrainian, you were considered a hillbilly, backwood, get away from me, you idiot, you have to learn Russian. This is the Soviet Union, it's all about Russian. If you're a Ukrainian, you're some sort of idiot. And the Ukrainians absolutely hate the Russians. Oh, they hate them. And they have plenty of reason to hate them. They hate the Russians so much. During World War II, they joined with the bad guys in Germany. That's how much they hate the Russians. I think it will be the Russian dominant parts. They need a land win to consider it a full win. Yeah, but they'll get that eventually because all the eastern provinces of the Ukraine are Russian dominated. So, the best the Ukrainians can hope for is they'll have to keep appeasing the eastern provinces in order to keep the country in one piece. And eventually they're going to have so many problems, they'll be almost happy to hand the Russians, the provinces. Those provinces would probably vote their way right out of the Ukraine into the Russian Federation. And it's a big country, and it's not like the Ukrainians can run it all. And, it's been several generations. It's not like it's been 2 years and the Russians these people they're Russians and they grew up there. We'll see what happens tomorrow. His emergency powers aren't actually in place. Needs to go through Parliament and our Senate. We'll find out if we still have a country tomorrow, probably. Oh, okay. So they still have to have a vote. I didn't really understand the emergency powers. I thought it was instant. So apparently they still have to have a vote. And I know half the provinces are already up in arms about it. Seems like political suicide to vote in favor of Trudeau at this point, especially considering the PR coming out of the crackdown. If Trudeau was smart, he would have waited. He would have held the vote before the crackdown. Now he's doing the crackdown. The vote's almost unnecessary. Maybe he did the crackdown because he knows he's going to lose the vote. He's going to back away. He's going to back off of it. He's going to just say, "Oh, we don't need it now. We've got the situation well at hand." Maybe that's the play. But getting back to the Ukraine, so the Ukrainians have a huge. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he could use the emergency powers now. Apparently, it still needs. But the Ottawans are cracking down. The Ottawa police is cracking heads. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't understand the Canadian political system at all, JEC. But the Ukrainians, kind of a lose-lose situation for them. But they are doing it anyway without the vote. Seems that way. So, with the Ukrainians, I think they only have half a country left anyway. I don't know if they want those eastern provinces. It might be better for them to control less territory, then they'll be able to control it. Everything he's doing is illegal. That's what's happening. I believe you. I'm with you. I think Justin Trudeau should go to jail. I think you should impeach him, however that happens, and then you should put him on trial, and then you should throw him in prison for the rest of his life. Or send him to The Hague and put him on trial against, he's effed up. But of course, I think they should do that to Biden too. The emergency powers are designed for civil unrest, but there's no violence. Yeah, exactly. But this is why you can't give the government these special powers. This is why you don't give the Bush administration magical powers to just declare war because of this particular time. Because then, 20 years later, we're still using it. And I think the AUMF, has that been ended officially yet? I don't even think it's been ended officially because they want that vagueness. So some president can come in and say, I need to declare war, and I could do. It's like Biden doing unconstitutional things and just waiting for the Supreme Court to shout them down. Yeah. I like it. Lock him up. Base. Yeah, lock him up, lock Biden up. Love to see it. Would love to see a trial. Would love to see somebody go to prison. Are we going to see it? I doubt it. I think the best we can hope for with Justin Trudeau, he gets so radioactive politically, they maybe vote him out sooner rather than later. And that would be about it. And after that, he'll go on TV and write books saying how misunderstood. No, that's not exactly what I did. The assistant prime minister talked about some of the temporary powers being permanent. Yeah. Oh, they'd love that. And then they could get the Great Reset going sooner. I know. Let's not get into the Great Reset. I'll be here another 4 hours. But there's some great videos going around. The Lotus Eaters did a great piece on it. Friday's Lotus Eaters, check it out. About Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum and how many leaders are now from the World Economic Forum. So you got Trudeau is like a student of Klaus Schwab. Macron was in the group. I don't know if he was a student, but he was definitely in the group. That maniac in New Zealand, who runs New Zealand now, she was in the group. So Yeah, these people are serious. The World Economic Forum is serious about taking over the world, and they're doing damage. I mean, look at all the damage they're doing to Canada. Look at all the damage they've done here. The damage to France and the European Union is just... Oh, and Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson, part of the World Economic Forum, believe it or not. You know, as based as some people want to believe the Tories are. Yeah. It explains a lot when you know Boris Johnson was a Klaus Schwab guy. Another week, the studies Big Pharma have been trying to keep hidden are supposed to begin to drop. We'll see what happens then. Yeah, I don't know who will see them. I don't know what media companies will even, you know, or if we're about to see the biggest pivot in world history in the Biden administration. I mean, they're already starting to say things, make noise like, well, you know, we didn't impose the lockdowns. That was at the state level. Like, you're definitely going to see that. I used to be woke, but the Canadian government illustrates to me the dangers of that ideology. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I used to be progressive. You know, I used to be a Democrat. I used to have that sort of, I guess you call it naive worldview. Oh, yeah, Democrats are for the working man, and Republicans are, oh, they're for big business. They're meanies. And you always fight for the underdog, and I'm a Democrat because I do that. It's like, then you grow up and you realize how nuanced the world is, and you realize, oh, some people are only Democrats because they have that image of fighting for the underdog, but really they're even more evil because, you know, at least an honest Republican who just says, oh, I fight for big business, at least he's telling you what he's doing, as opposed to a Democrat who pretends to be your friend and then stabs you in the back. Europe is dropping everything. Total U-turn on restrictions. Something is coming. Yeah, the big pivot is supposed to be climate change, right? We're going to go from, oh my God, you got to put on a mask or you're going to kill grandma, to, oh my God, the world's going to end in 6 years if we don't get down carbon emissions. Give up your car, stop eating red meat, eat the bugs, live in a pod. Good for you, Harry. Welcome. And yeah, live in the pod and do all the recyclable BS that we do here. It doesn't seem to do any good. And I have more recyclable trash than I do regular trash, which is annoying because my recycle bin is small. I specifically got a small one, and I'm like constantly emptying the damn thing. Meanwhile, my trash is empty. It takes me like a week and a half to fill it up. Because everything's going in recycle bin. And I'm not washing containers, okay? I'm not washing trash, okay? If you don't want my trash because there's a little mayonnaise in it, well, then I'll just throw it out. Just throw it out. Thanks, Salty. Yeah, it's good to see people red-pilled. And, you know, they say, what's the expression? There's no one more dedicated than a convert, right? And I feel like I'm kind of that way. I was sort of a convert, sort of red-pilled, more so in the libertarianism during the Bush era, but you know, even to Trump to some extent. I wasn't a big fan of Trump in the beginning. I was like, he's not going to be good. And then I was shocked at the job he did. It's you'll own nothing and be happy. Yeah, that's a great reset, right? You'll own nothing and be happy. And I think they're trying it. They're trying hard to do it. And I'll tell you the two main factors they're trying hard. Metal cans and glass bottles are the only things worth the effort in recycling. Yeah, seems to me. Although I understand the plastic portion, at least for a while, until we get to a point where all the biodegradable plastic is nothing but biodegradable plastic, I guess. At least picking it up is a good idea, not putting it in landfills, melting it or burning it, whatever the hell they do. Just remember, if they were wrong about this part of their ideology, know they're most likely wrong about everything else. Well, yes and no. I mean, the problem is not even the facts, because the problem with the leftist ideology, in my view, is they're too emotional, right? And so everything goes out the window. You can't reason with someone who's emotional. This, I think, is why and I'm going to get flack for this, but I'm going to say it. A lot of women go left. They tend to go left because they tend to gauge things with their feelings and intuition, which is totally okay under certain circumstances. In terms of relationships and social settings, like all that stuff serves you well. But in politics, in science, no, you can't feel your way through a math problem. You can't feel your way through a policy problem. Just remember, if they were wrong about, oh no, I already said that one. They can't recycle plastic. They just dump it all. Oh, right? Really? I thought they melt it. No, I don't know. But I guess I can understand. Well, the thing about plastic is some of it wasn't biodegradable, but now supposedly it had this biodegradable plastic, and supposedly some bacteria has evolved to eat plastic. So that's good, I guess. Unless the bacteria evolved to eat other things we don't want them to eat. I don't know. I don't know how bacteria evolved, and that they evolved on their own. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I could write a screenplay about it, and I can make a scientist sound like he knows what he's talking about. I was just doing that. I just finished a screenplay, by the way, and I'm writing about, like, in this case, military stuff. And I didn't quite know what I was doing, so I went and watched a bunch of scenes on YouTube of war dogs because it's kind of in that same tone. I wanted to get the feel of it, and then I was like, oh, okay, I get what they're doing. They just throw a bunch of numbers at you and weapons numbers. So I kind of bamboozled my way through the ending. Recycling isn't bad. Green energy isn't bad. It's forcing it when it's not ready. It's taking a disaster as proof of their ideology. It's othering people that is wrong. Yeah, I agree. We've got a stupid wind farm going up in Salem, New Jersey. It's probably not going to do anything. I'm not anti-recycle. I am anti-Green New Deal. Yeah, I think everybody is. If they knew what the F was in it. Although I like Mark Dice's take on it, right? Mark Dice did this funny take on the new Green Deal. What was it? Something about we were going to have to drink our own pee. But the eat the bugs thing is real. Oh, the eat the bugs thing is totally real. And the stopping of the red meat is real. So what I was about to say is, I think this is part of the plan. BlackRock is buying up all the houses, so you'll be forced to rent. And this was an idea I put in a science fiction story decades ago. The idea would be that, corporations would own everything because they would just figure out the one thing they need to own is all the land. War Dogs is Aaron Sorkin. Oh, yeah, it wasn't, I didn't see the movie, but I saw some of the scenes. It's based on a true story, I guess. And so it was all right. I mean, the scenes I saw were all right. I saw the ending and ruined it for myself, but I needed to get that flavor for the movie I'm writing, which is it's very much in that vein, except it's not about weapons, it's about something else. But I can't talk about it yet. Yeah, so this idea of the whole green stuff, I don't think it's ready yet. I think we could slowly transition to it, but is it a great movie? He says it, great movie. I don't know, maybe I'll have to see it. He is a master of dialogue. The dialogue did seem good. He did seem good. That's what I like in my movies. I like good dialogue. Make a movie or TV series about it. That would be awesome. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, the green stuff, it's just too much. Just too much. But I think with BlackRock buying up all the houses, the chip shortage we have no new cars coming in, or very few. Like, cars are at a premium now. And what's the other thing? Oh, and the red meat thing, right? So this is like their attempt at making housing unaffordable, cars unaffordable, food unaffordable. So you will have to rent. So you'll have to rent your house and you have to rent your car. And those are the two big things. Everything after that, relatively easy. So I think they are attempting to do the Great Reset. But for those of us who hang on, I think it's going to snap back. Janos, wow, I can't say that name. Varoufakis calls it techno-feudalism. Wow. That's a cool term. Techno-feudalism. Yeah. Yeah, that's very apropos. It would be techno-feudalism if they manage to get it in. And it's already kind of in. So there are places in, there are housing developments that are really owned by Disney has them, right? So Disney owns like housing developments. They own these housing developments, and you can buy a house there, but you sign an agreement when you move in that you have to keep the house looking a certain way. So they have this story time place. So it looks like a Disney neighborhood, right? It's like really nice with white picket fences. I mean, nice from the standpoint if you want to live in a suburban Disney movie, I guess. But you have to agree to keep it that way. So it's like a really strong homeowners association kind of thing. He was the Greek minister of finance. Oh, well, that's a good term. But as the Greek minister of finance, I have to say that guy doesn't know economics very well. Greece is a basket case when it comes to economics. I mean, that guy, the Greeks are paying mailmen to retire at 38. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. I'd like to retire at 38. That would have been great, right, Joan? Let's get Joan up here. So again, I think it's the Wokies, the Justin Trudeau's, the World Economic Forum attempting to do their thing. They're not going to do it. They're going to be unsuccessful. But in the process, they're going to do a tremendous amount of damage. Oh yeah, Yanis is a famous academic. He couldn't do anything in Greece. LOL. Yeah, that's for sure. That is definitely for sure. Greece is a mess. Ugh, just like my dog. You're a mess, dog. How do you get dirt on your face? Ugh. All right. We're going to have to wrap this up, guys, soon. So if you got any other questions or topics you want to shout them out now, I'm gonna start to wrap. Well, this was a good live stream. Yeah, this was a solid live stream. I'm glad you guys finally found it. It's good to get a lot of interaction here. Good to get the comments going. I got to figure out the rest of this, so I could pop up little Joan on her camera and all that. The EU hammered Greece. It certainly did. Yeah, they won't be leaving. They'll be the last to leave. Thanks for all the interesting ideas. Yeah, no problem, Ergo Cinema. Thanks for stopping by. Harry, thanks to you. Thanks to everyone who dropped in. Good sesh. Don't forget, next week, 2 p.m., the Sunday live stream with me and Stinky Little Joan. There'll be 4 videos today. I'm going to end it here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, Hollywood. Nice to meet you, too. Later, JEC. And end.